Nah, you're all right.
What's going on, everyone? It's LFC Transfer Room here, and this is a match preview whilst we've got other games alive and on the go and stuff like that. And tonight I am joined by Kev and I'm joined by Stu, and I think we'll have someone else joining us for a debut. They're just running a little bit late. But do you know what, Kev? I'm going to start off not talking about Liverpool. We're going to talk about the battle for the title. Arsenal have just kicked off. No Saka, no Martinelli, no Jesus, no Declan Rice. The only problem is they're at home and they're playing Luton.
Yeah. And you'd expect changes after a big game that was played at the weekend between them and City. Changes were expected. I don't see any issues with them getting 3 points, either team winning tonight. So I was expecting changes. Changes have happened with City as well. So these aren't the games we're looking at for them to lose points in, to be honest. If with being true to ourselves, Villa may have an opportunity, but with Watkins injured, it goes against what they're going to do. But for me, we just concentrate on ourselves. It's in our hands. So,
well, Stu, when we look at the Man City lineup, no Haaland, no Walker. I mean, they've gone with Lewis, Diaz, Akanji, Gvardiol, Ortega's in goal, so no Ederson, Rodri, Bernardo Silva in the middle, Doku, Foden, Grealish, Alvarez. It's a bit of a different lineup for them, but again, they're at home, they're against Villa, they should be absolutely fine, shouldn't they?
I would think so. I would think that they'd be all right. I can understand them dropping Haaland. Haaland's form hasn't been the best since he's come back from his little niggly injury that he had. And De Bruyne, he's looking after as well because, again, long-term injury. Played a lot of games recently, so he's just trying to watch how his fitness is going as well. But I still can't see him struggling tonight, to be fair. I really can't. It's...
Right.
Well, Anukaresh, we were looking at the Arsenal and Man City lineups. Both have made a lot of changes, but both are at home. Obviously, they're playing today. We play tomorrow. Can you see either of them dropping points? Is there either of the teams you'd be like, they might slip up a little bit?
Well, you never know with Arsenal, but with Manchester City, especially in the last 9 to 10 games of the season, I think expecting them to drop points has always resulted in disappointments all over the years. So I wouldn't want my heart to break again. So I'm not expecting, but if it happens, then of course it's a cherry on the top.
Yeah, and no Haaland, no Kevin De Bruyne, but unfortunately Villa have got no Watkins, and I think that makes the big difference, doesn't it? No Watkins in that Villa team just kind of cuts their knees out. I know they've got Diaby and Duran up front, and Diaby, for me, is a great player, but they seem to lack something up front, don't they?
Definitely. I mean, see, the thing with Aston Villa is that this season, they have shown that, that they can match at the top of the table. No one really expected them to be performing this well, although Unai Emery showed a lot of promise after Steven Gerrard left last season. But I think how they have reacted, how they have played, I think it's like they have shown some real mentality, but like it's how they perform at the business end of the season, because like injuries happen with every team for that matter. Liverpool have had more than their fair share of injuries. In fact, I think they've had a share of two teams for that matter in terms of their injuries. But again, like I think Aston Villa overall look like a good team, and even with Watkins out, I think they will pose a good challenge. Let's see what happens. But against the big teams in the league, especially at the business end, you wouldn't really fancy them to. You wouldn't really fancy Aston Villa to get the 3 points or get a really good result, especially even after what they have done this season. Because of course, like other teams have more experience when it comes to grinding out the results at this point of time.
Jen, as always, thank you very much for the support. And here's a message from our sponsor, Kev. You don't think these are the games they're going to slip up, but it is probably going to be a silly game like this where someone draws, isn't it?
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. These at this end of of the season come in comparison to when they played them in the first part of the season. There's more on it. There's more emphasis on these games. You know, that's why you can't take them lightly. That's why we didn't start well on Sunday. To be honest, you look at these games and you're hoping that they can stay compact, they can stay disciplined, and they can defend well. And if they can do that, then you give yourself an opportunity to do that. But again, this isn't a game I'd single out. The games I'd be looking at are the games where they're playing in the Champions League, where they've got Real Madrid, and then Arsenal have got their semi, their quarter final, and then it's the games where they could potentially play against each other as well. The games around that semi-final where they're playing Premier League and then they're up against Premier League opposition. That's where you're expecting what's the priority for either team, and that will where you'll see not so many changes made, and probably the starting 11 stays the same, depending on when or what the times they're playing. Pep's already mentioned about the times that they have to play, and the fact that Real Madrid have got a 9-day break until they play them. So he's doing what we do, which is basically turn around and say, FA help us out, but teams playing a 12:30, we have had more than our fair share of them. But this is an opportunity for both teams to rest players before their next four weeks, where it is going to get more intense. But although both teams have made changes, there's plenty on that bench to come off if needs be, with 20 minutes to go, half an hour to go, to change it for them. So that's where I'm with it at the minute. Like, I don't know if you agree with that, James. What's your opinion? Would you have highlighted these two games for either side where there's an opportunity of this happening, or
I think there's the thing for me with Watkins being injured is the problem, because there was always a chance Villa could get a draw because they're a counter-attacking, pacey team. And I think the fact that Diaby's up front is good for me, because Diaby can just get in behind, no Kyle Walker, so they don't have pace to pace. There's an opportunity for him to cause a lot of chaos. So I think out of the two, I don't really count Luton in this thing for me, but I think Aston Villa have the chance to cause some problems, because Man City do not look like Man City of previous seasons. And I think some of their star players are starting to age out a little bit and get a few more knocks and a few more injuries. So, yeah, I think for me, I'd probably say the Villa one, I could potentially see a draw, but the pressure on City at the moment, if they draw, it takes them to 65, and if Liverpool win, we then have over a win against them, and that's devastating for them. So I'm surprised they've rested as many as they have. What do you think, Stu? I'm writing off Arsenal Luton, but there's something that could go. If something's going to go wrong for one of the three teams this midweek fixture, if you think we've got Sheffield United, they've got Luton, City have got Villa, it's Villa where it should statistically go wrong, isn't it?
I don't disagree. As you say, when you look at the fixtures, they come out and you look at it, you go, right, bum. Okay, we've got Sheffield United, Arsenal got Luton, both relegation scrappers, but they both the favourites are playing at home. You kind of write them off and think, okay, that's on paper, that's a win, easy. The Villa one, totally agree. It is a potential banana skin, but it's not just City that obviously have issues like sort of swapping players around. Even more importantly for them, they've lost a goalkeeper for tonight. Martinez ain't playing. That's an even bigger influence in the team, more so than Watkins, I think, sometimes. He's had a couple of dodgy games this season, but he is an extremely good goalkeeper and a leader from the back as well. So on paper, when you look at it and you think, okay, that is a potential draw point, it is where City could slip up and draw and drop a couple of points behind us again. But at the moment, I'm still edging towards City. I think they've got the stronger bench at the end of the day as well.
You know what they're doing in this situation.
Yeah, De Bruyne and Haaland sitting on the bench along with the rest of them. I didn't catch all of them. You got that sitting on the bench. You're kind of all right still. More so than Villa's bench, unfortunately. But that just shows the difference.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the match preview, the other main news that came out today was Amorim being linked with Barcelona. So suddenly, now Alonso's made his statement, which I actually don't think was as definitive as what everyone's making it out to be. But we'll get onto that. I'll get onto that a little bit later. Amorim saying Amorim connected to Barcelona. Anukrash, do you think this is just Liverpool fans going next man up, right? So we're all in on Amorim, and then he might get connected to Barcelona, end up at Barcelona, and then we'll pick the next one and we'll be all in on that? Or do you think this is just column inches, get Liverpool fans to click on stuff, let's connect him to Barcelona because Liverpool fans will go uproar, blah, 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 let's get some clicks, let's get some social media?
Well, if I'm being very honest, I think it very much seems like clickbait material for me at this point of time. Because I think if Barcelona do go out, they will go in for someone like Hansi Flick most probably, or someone. I have heard that they might also try and for like what I've read, they might also try and for the likes of Nagelsmann and Tuchel for that matter. But I don't really see them going after Amorim, and I really feel that it seems like a deal which seems imminent, almost imminent at this point of time, especially with whatever has happened with Xabi Alonso, and he very much looks like set to stay for another season at Bayer Leverkusen. So I think for Liverpool, I think Ruben Amorim is going to be the man at the end of the season. What happens, we can never say about the transfer market, about the manager market. A few seasons ago, we saw with Tottenham how they got rejected by 4 or 5 managers in the span of a summer transfer window. So these sort of things can definitely happen in football. But yeah, for now, it all seems conjecture and something that the journalists would be earning a lot of money on. But again, let's see what happens. Personally, I think the sporting manager looks very much, set for the Liverpool job at this point of time.
No, Kev, I still don't think the Alonso thing's over for me. And let me explain why for me, because this is what he said. We have had a lot of speculation regarding our future. I wanted to use the international break to reflect and take a decision. Last week, I had a very good meeting and informed the club my decision to continue being coach. And then he talks a lot about how it feels like the right thing at the moment. Now, there's a really easy way that feeling could change. And that is a Liverpool Leverkusen champion Europa League semi-final. That feeling could change very, very quickly because Anfield, raw, suddenly everything feels a lot different. Do you think it's definitive? Do you think it's done? Do you think that was it? Because it wasn't categoric. He just kept saying, at the moment it feels like, as opposed to, I will be here next season 100%.
I agree with you in a sense. I think it's not over. I think he does want to manage Liverpool at some point, but I think he wouldn't have come out of one and stated that and then change his mind 3 weeks or 4 weeks later after the game against us. I think his mind is to being definitive. I think he will stick with that. A lot of people saying that, well, this is your one and only opportunity of getting the job with us. I don't think it is. He's always stated there's 3 clubs he'd want to manage, and that was Bayern Munich, there was Real Madrid, and there's Liverpool. He feels at the minute that he's still learning his actual trade, and he wants to get a bit more experience before taking a big job. That's the way I've read into it. And it's all about timings. And unfortunately, that timing could be a little bit off. This was last season, we'd be crying for De Zerbi to be our manager. But then we look at what happens this season. So timing is everything. He may not necessarily, his stock may not be as big as what it is, but give the man his due. He's decided to stay loyal to a club that he's done well at. And I feel as though he's got a structure in place and as long as he doesn't lose a lot of players, he's got a team that could actually go on and be in consecutive champions in Germany, which is a defining moment in German football. The fact that he feels that he could possibly do that with the team and the squad he's got. Add a bit of more depth to that, and who knows what will happen. But for me, you can't say never, and I never would say never to, because at the end of the day, if he goes to Real Madrid, which is inevitably where we think he's going, our next manager's got 2 years, maybe 3 years before that happens. Who knows? Who knows, James? It's all conjecture at the minute, and that's my opinion on it. We can look into his statements a little bit more, and there will be an element of fans that will be more up for that game against Leverkusen at Anfield if we were to get them. But
we can only get them in the final.
I know exactly. So even if that could happen, a lot of Liverpool fans would use that as a moment to go, well, you got Leverkusen support. Here's what we are. But he already knows that already. Do you know what I mean? I still think it's relatively early
in his big change in the Liverpool fan base. Klopp's made a big change in the fan base. Like the level of belief, like
the Rafa period was shock and awe and stuff, and it wasn't this continuous change in how the fans feel about it and how we've been going on about it.
No, don't get me wrong. A few weeks ago we were all Leverkusen supporters in the Bundesliga. Now we're Sporting fans supporting them getting through against Benfica last night. Things change and we are emotive people, and we will react, and it's very reactionary at the minute. A lot of things are still up in the air, and you used to say that Ruben Amorim is the one that we actually end up with. It's what fits us best and what has the capability and working within the structure that we're putting in place. It's all about the structure behind the scenes as well as the manager coming in. So we're doing the legwork in that first, and then we bring in someone that fits us and molds us well, but has the flexibility in the way he plays to us to adapt to him and him to adapt to us. So it's going to be a little bit longer before we find out. Ruben Amorim has got the skills and the formation and the strategy and the ethos with young players to come and join a team like ourselves and be successful. What we're trying to do is trying to make sure that drop isn't as big as what it has been in other years when we've lost our managers. Do you know what I mean? The last time this happened, this is our Shankly moment, but there's no Paisley. There's no one out there that fits us like a glove, like Klopp does, and that's why we're still of an opinion and still have opinions on certain managers being taken over this team, even though they have the capability to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was all on for Thomas Frank until this season. It's a bad season, isn't it? If, like you said, if it had been a year before or 2 years before, everyone would be like, do you know what? Yeah, right way of playing, right mentality, right approach, right this, right that, right the other. I mean, for me, Stu, when I think about Amorim, I think he's a bit slow in his style of play. I think their build-up play is a bit slow for the Premier League. It's a little bit more like Man City. The three at the back means, pretty much a change in philosophy, which means it's not automatic. And when something's not automatic in your brain, that means it's got development time, which means that players' levels will drop a little bit as they learn things. That's to be expected. So it all still seems a bit up in the air, but we're making some really good senior appointments as we go along the way. I think there's another technical director being linked with recently that we've just about to take on, and I can't remember their name.
Pedro Marques from Benfica.
Pedro Marques, that's the one.
That's it, yeah.
Though I have one more concern which I would like to raise. Like, we have often talked about three at the back. Both Amorim and both and Xabi Alonso, they both play with two attacking midfielders instead of wingers, for that matter. And though I understand, I can see Trent playing as a wing back or Conor Bradley playing as a wing back. But what I don't understand is how are we going to accommodate two attacking midfielders when we have the likes of Luis Diaz, Diogo Jota, and of course, Mohamed Salah, for that matter, considering he does stay. Because I think that's a massive change in philosophy in attack.
And I think that's the really interesting thing to think about, isn't it? And I'll let Stu answer it, because the way Liverpool play is very winger orientated. It's overlap winger orientated. So to change to a attacking midfielder orientated, that might benefit someone like Harvey Elliott, Fabio Carvalho, but it would be a drastic change to everyone, really, in terms of roles and responsibilities, wouldn't it?
It would. I would say I think the one player who would struggle moving into that position would be Diaz, actually. I think he's definitely more of a winger, but likes to cut in. I wouldn't have any concerns, actually, about the likes of Salah. I think could just easily adapt, no matter where. He could adapt to that, no problem. Gakpo, I actually think, is probably more suited to that. Because he doesn't have, again, he's one of those players, again, who's a bit of an enigma with, he's very good technically, he's very good on the ball, a lot like Harvey Elliott, but he's not quick. He's not rapid like Nunes or Salah or Diaz are, not electric sort of pace. So in that sort of new style formation, whether it be Alonso, Amorim, or whoever who brings in that two attacking midfielders, I think the one player who will struggle out of that entire lot would be Diaz. I think the other ones would adapt to it all right. And in fact, actually, I think somebody like Szoboszlai would thrive in that, being pushed a little bit further forward as well. So I think we've got the players to do it. Yeah, it would take a little bit of time. How much time? I don't think the adaptation period would take that long, to be honest. We've got a very professional bunch of guys, a very professional squad.
So ultimately, it's muscle memory almost, isn't it? This is what we're talking about. It's like, how can you get something to muscle memory if you're playing, let's say, a contain, you go from a high press, so you're trying to be automatically reactive to the press and everyone knows where everyone's going to be, to suddenly being contained and driving them into a channel and rushing them out. And then, it can get complicated.
It can. I'd say I'm not saying it would be a quick or a slow adaptation to whatever style the new manager picks, but I have a lot of faith in the squad that we have at the moment. They're a very strong squad mentally and technically, very gifted squad, so I think they will pick it up very, very quickly. There are one or two players who I think would struggle, who probably could end up seeing the exit because of the formation change. But for the most part, I think our squad's ready made for it, and it wouldn't take long to adapt at all.
So I'm going to stick with you, Stu. I'm going to ask you this question, and then I'm going to ask the other guys and everyone in the chat this question, which is, who do you build the team around? 2 players maximum.
Okay.
And what is their best position? So if you're building a team for these players and it's all designed to make them shine, who do you build it around, and what position do you put them in?
Personally, I'll build it around McAllister and Trent. And I would have both of them in a sort of central midfield, defensive central midfield slot. So both of them playing as DMs, but as deep line playmakers. Both of them. Either one could go forward. But the range of passing between those two from the centre of midfield, the amount of, I mean, you think Trent gets assists playing as a fullback, putting him in that position alongside McAllister. And bloody hell, that I think would work really well. And then having Szoboszlai ahead of them as like the attacking midfielder. That's what I'd go for.
Anukarash, what 2 players are you building this new version of Liverpool around, and what positions are you putting them in?
Well, I had a smile on my face when Stu said Trent and McAllister, because that's exactly what I'd go through. Because, like, the creativity that McAllister has shown, especially in the recent matches, I mean, he has been there in the clutch moments totally. And of course, with Trent, although he has been injured recently, but how much he means to the team. And of course, like, it's almost inevitable that he's going to captain the club after Virgil van Dijk kind of, passes on the bat. And like we all know how his creativity has helped us, although he has his defensive not so good moments, if I'm saying it politely. But of course, we all know how good McAllister and Trent can be for the team, and how much of an influence they have in the matches where they shine. So even I would go with the both of them.
Are you the same, Kev, McAllister and Trent, or are you?
I am, before Stu mentioned it, and then I'm gonna jumped on it. So just to change it up a bit, I'll go with McAllister and with Nunes, and have a focal point up front, and have McAllister playing more in an 8 rather than a 6, and build the team around them. We've seen how good McAllister is this season. He's been exceptional. Probably the buy of the season for me, and a standout for us from the start. And not a lot gets said about how we've restructured this midfield and are in a title push in the same season. Not many managers can actually say that they've done that, especially at the start where you're losing Fabio, you're losing Hendo, you've lost Katie. I know some of them were players that were on the hospital bed a lot more time, but to completely revolutionise the actual midfield and have McAllister, who's just been exceptional and just looks as though he's getting better and better since the World Cup. It's great that he's part of us. And I totally agree where Stu came from with this too, because they would probably ask, but just to change it up a little bit, I'll go with Nunes as well, because I think Nunes needs a mention as well, because I think this season we've seen a different Nunes to the one we've seen last year. He's although he's a little bit more chaotic and he's more strategic, and he's taking his chances as and when he does, and I hope he bags a few tomorrow. So how about yourself, James?
Well, firstly, it's currently Arsenal 1, Luton Town 0, Odegaard in the 24th minute with a Havertz assist for anyone that's got those players in their fantasy Premier League. For me, you've got to build it around Trent. You got to build it around who your future captain's going to be. You got to build it around a scouser, and you got to build it around talent that wants to be there. He's going to be the leader of the team. He's going to take over that mantle, so he has to be the central figure. And if that means you've got to play McAllister not in his optimal, that means you've got to. So I struggle to say McAllister next, because I would say, well, Trent might need Endo there more than McAllister, and you might need to play McAllister as an attacking midfielder, and then it's McAllister or Szoboszlai for me. And so, I mean, Szoboszlai can play as a winger and all sorts, but primarily, because I can see Trent and Jones playing together and McAllister in front as well, because Jones just recycles the ball, and all he will do is find Trent, and Trent will play it wherever he wants. I think the second player for me that I would really want to build a team around, and I would want to get this player signed up as quickly as possible, is Konate, to give you a completely different view, because I think if he can stay fit, he will be the best defender in the world. And I think as he trusts his body and learns more and stuff, and you win titles from defense. And I think if you can get Konate working with Kwanzaa, working with Bradley, working with whatever left back we end up with, because I think that's probably one of the ones where Beck might make it, Scanlon might make it, but there's a good chance that someone else is going to come through. And whether we end up with Bradley there or Trent there, or you end up with three at the back, there's something about Konate that I think is just leaps and bounds ahead of everyone. He's like prime verge with pace, isn't he, when he gets it right? And if you can tie that down, because he's not fully tied down yet, I think he's only on about 70 grand a week. That needs to happen as soon as possible. So they would be my two. I agree with McAllister. I'd probably go Darwin next, because I think the nicest way that I can say is I think Darwin and Salah together seem to cross over too much. When Salah's there, Salah wants to take all the chances. When Salah's not there, Darwin's been a lot better. He finds spaces. I think they're running the same channels on the right-hand side and the left-hand side. So I think there's some crossover where long-term you build it around Nunes, because Salah's not going to be 5-6 years. So there we go. And then obviously we've got in the comments Mac and Trent and Darwin, Starwin. We found out that Jen loves a penguin. Because
who doesn't?
and again, you could sign Konate's too injury prone. Well, you could say that about Gerrard when he was that age, because his hamstrings were going until he got his entire infrastructure changed. Just signing someone off and just writing someone too injury prone doesn't mean that they're going to be there. It's just about how they manage themselves and the infrastructure you put around them. Just writing someone off, just saying this, for me, is not the way to do it, because that was what would have happened to Gerrard. Too injury prone. Hamstrings kept going. But then he built everything back up, and he ended up being second best, maybe the best. Depends how you view it. Player that's ever played for the club. Choose number one. I'm kind of there. I kind of Kenny did something special, didn't he? And in so many different ways.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it as much as I saw Gerrard, so it's hard to say. Right, so we're going to move on to match preview. Liverpool, Sheffield United. I'm going to start with a really basic question for chat, and if you are new here, please like and subscribe to the channel. We go live every day at 7:30, but we're going to start first with a really simple question. It's going to be full strength or rotation. I just want a one-word answer. Kev, full strength or rotation?
Full strength.
Stu?
Rotation.
A new crash. Full strength or rotation?
Full strength, 100%.
And let us know in the chat, because we've got full strength. We've got one full strength, one rotation. Kev, well, two full strength. I think slight rotation. I think some players need match sharpness and need some game time. So, Kev, I'll start with you. Do you want to go all out? United on Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, your mic's up there, mate.
This is not the time to be taking your foot off the pressure and doing that. I know we've seen other teams do it tonight, but for me personally, you've got an opportunity. We got 5 opportunities to change that. You start well. You start and give a good impression of yourselves, and leave that on the pitch. I expect a physicality game tomorrow. Very physical, very demanding, very compact. I will be going full strength on that basis, because they are going to be putting 10, 11 behind the ball, and we are going to need our best players. It's not an opportunity to bring players in who've just come back from injury. Give them the time when we're 2, maybe 3-0 up in the second half, and get them on get their game time then. But for me personally, I'd start as well as we can. And we started a lot better than what we did against Brighton. I think Brighton was an eye-opener for us, and it was needed. And I think we start well, we have the energy, we score early, and then we see how the team goes. We'll get the 3 points in, and then make the changes, and then let's go and try and get into our goal difference. And if we can do that before half-time, amazing. But the whole priority for tomorrow is 3 points. More game time in those legs, and make the changes as and when we need to in the second half.
Now, he puts a good pitch across, Stu, about why, full strength this, full strength that, got to get this, proper Kev the politician. You said rotation. I'll give you the opportunity to pitch why we should rotate a little bit more. Not full rotation, but rotate a little bit more. Give some game time to some other players.
Well, the reason I say that, I don't want us to go into this like we did with the Brighton game and have a wake-up call, and we're 1-0 down within the first couple of minutes. But I see this game as just a bit of an opportunity to rest the legs of a couple of players, because United is coming up on Sunday. So would I risk, say, the likes of Gomez, for instance? Maybe not. I'd want to start probably Simicast at left back. Give him some game time as well. Would I start Diaz on the wing? No, I'll be starting Gakpo instead. He needs a run of minutes as well. But I also understand the logic that Kev's saying as well. I have been thinking about it. And it's one of those, it's for and against, it's pretty close. At the end of the day, you don't want to risk a full-strength team, but could you, a full-strength Liverpool team in the first 45 minutes, go out and demolish Sheffield United in the first half? Yes, we could, quite easily. And come in at half-time and then make some substitutions. Be 3-4-0 up. And then you think, okay, job's done. But I think a couple of the players do deserve to start and actually have a chance. I think this is a game that they could do it in.
And you've got to keep your squad fresh as well. You've got to keep them match fit, and that is now, And we will build a starting 11 after this. But a new crash. You went with full strength. Liverpool is 7 goals behind Arsenal now, because obviously Arsenal are 1-0 up. Sheffield United have a minus 50 goal difference, 15 points. How bad was that Derby season? I mean, if Sheffield United have got 15 points, how bad was that Derby season? So are you all in? Get everyone firing, get Salah firing, get the full squad going, get Nunes firing, get everyone going.
The reason I said full strength, and it's not that I don't agree with Stu here also, even he makes sense. What I'd do is that I'd like Liverpool to go full strength and then take the major players, like, the ones that are the so-called stars in terms of Salah and all, off early in the second half, say around 55 to 60 minutes. Because this is a game which could help us with the goal difference, definitely. Like, if we can get 2 3 goals in the first half, there's a huge chance we end up winning the match by 4 or 5 goals. And of course, like, I agree that against United in the FA Cup quarterfinal, we did see that at the end of the day, the players got fatigued. It did show. After whatever the players have gone through with the League Cup final and so many games in between. So it, of course, showed on the pitch. But what I feel is that if we can get a few goals in and then get the likes of Salah, say even Diaz, Nunez off, and give the others a chance, like as Stu pointed out, even the likes of Gakpo also need minutes. So if we could do something around that, that would make sense, and also make sure that we have the lads ready for the major match against Manchester United at the weekend.
Okay, so we're going to build our starting 11 now for the match against Sheffield United. Now, remember, we're at home, so the chances of us losing are very, very low. And I say very, very low because statistically, I think we've lost 1 in 3 years.
Yeah.
So very, very low. Not to say it's impossible. Would never dare say that on stream. Jesus Christ, Kevin, kill me if we end up doing that. And so there is opportunity to discuss a couple of players because I think everyone's right. I think you go 90 to 95% full strength. But I think there are some players where we've probably got a bit of a discussion about Gakpo needs match sharpness, and you don't want him to go regress too much because there may be a time where you need him. Players like Jones could be coming back for some minutes, and you might bring him off the bench and split some minutes that way and stuff like that. So we're going to start back 4. I think the big discussion points are Gomez, Robertson, Costas, Bradley. Do you give him some time off? Centre back, do you give Kanate some minutes because he's now back on the bench? Kev, what's your back 4?
Well, I said I go full strength. So my back 4 would be Conor Bradley, it would be Ibu, and it would be Virgil, and it would be Gomez at left back. I think that gives you enough for the physicality. It gives you enough for dealing with the likes of Ollie Burn up front, who does cause problems, and as aerial wins a lot of his aerial fights against centre halves. So I would match their physicality of their forwards with ours and play our strongest and strength wise, and also have the pace on the wing with Gomez, and also use Bradley as well going forward. That will be my back. That'll be my back 4 for tomorrow.
But that also gives Kanate some minutes to get back fit again and get back in the match. So you are, it's not full strength in terms of match fitness, but it's full strength in terms of ability. Get what you're doing there. Stu, your back 4, any changes?
My back 4, I'd say probably Van Dijk and Kanate as your centre backs. Left back, I would be, again, I said Tsimikas, and I'm going to stick with Tsimikas, and Gomez as right back instead, on resting Bradley on the bench, because I think even though he's a young lad and he hasn't played as many games as the rest of the players this season, I would just like to have him as fresh as possible, bombing up and down United's right wing on Sunday. So I'd rather have Gomez at right back instead.
Now, Derek, we get your point, but what if you flog your fastest horse and put it in every race? Eventually, that horse gets tired and it's not at peak performance anymore. So you do have to think about some of these things when you've got a game on Sunday, a game on Thursday, a game on Sunday. Do you want that horse at 90%? Do you want the horse at 100%? What level of match fitness do you want? So whilst I get every game should be a cup final, and you're right, you do need to find that perfect balance. Anukrash, your back 4?
I'd go with the same one that Kev mentioned, although I'd get Tsimikas on as soon as we get 2 3 goals. I'd get him. I think at the start of the second half, or at
60 minutes.
least at around 60 minutes. Yeah.
Costas on.
Yeah.
Now, Helio's been put in. Endo got a knock against Brighton, so you can't see Klopp risking him and stuff like that, because that is very unlike Klopp to play a player who's got a knock. So when it comes to midfield three, Kev, your peak midfield three.
Well, then, there's a few options. You can put McAllister into a 6, and then go with Dom, and probably start Curtis Jones if you want to go down that route. You've also got the opportunity of playing Gavin Birch as well.
I think you need to split time between both of them because they're both coming back.
Oh God, yeah. But they're the options you've got. They're the two options I would see if Endo doesn't make it. And it'd be a big mistake that Endo doesn't play this game, because this is right up his street. The physicality in that midfield. Problem is, everyone will be having an heart attack every time McAllister goes in for a tackle. But I would probably go McAllister, Dom, and I don't know who my left one would be. In fact, I'll probably go
at 6. Play Costa.
No chance of that. No chance of that. Do you know what? I'd probably go McAllister, Dom, and Elliott.
That's a good shout. Deserves a start. Stu?
Kev's beat me to it. Also, you sat there contemplating it. He was like, yeah, I was like, go on, say Elliott. Oh, God. That's exactly the same reasoning as well. I mean, McAllister has obviously played 6 already this season. There is no point in risking Endo. I'd rather have Endo in for the United game, which I think we will see a marked improvement from Endo in this United game, because I think previously the occasion got to him a little bit at that one, because he obviously never played at the Old Trafford fixture before. But that's by the by. And then obviously Szoboszlai and Elliott. I think Elliott, his passing range will help a lot tomorrow. And I think he deserves a start there as well, to be honest.
Yeah, over 2,000 minutes, majority of it coming on as a sub, but making such an impact every time that he comes off the bench. And he's in a rich vein of form at the moment. So there's really little argument, although he's been playing a lot of it as a right winger, which everyone will tell you he can't play right wing because he doesn't have any pace, despite the fact I think he's just got 6 assists and 3 goals in his last however many games for England. But anyway, your midfield 3. New crash.
Well, I'd also go with the two gentlemen in here, because I think the midfield 3 really puts itself in, because like Jones is coming back and Gravenberch hasn't really started or had a lot of minutes. So I don't think there are a lot of options out there. And with the form that Elliott has shown this season, I think especially with that really big injury he had, I think a couple of seasons back, he got him in for, and it looks like that he is becoming a proper player at this point of time. So I think the midfield 3 very much picks itself for me right now.
Okay. For me, I'm going to go. I would probably go Gravenberch, McAllister. Oh, really? Gravenberch, McAllister, and Szoboszlai. And the reason for that is I think Elliott's played a lot of minutes over the last, and he's a 21-year-old. So I would want. I think if I was going to take a risk anywhere, and the impact Elliott has off the bench is huge, I would probably more likely to rest him and split the game between Gravenberch, who came back a week earlier than Jones, and then switch Jones at about 70 minutes. But
that actually makes sense, considering he also played with the under-21s. I didn't really, think about that. Now that you pointed out, it does make a lot of sense, because he played for the under-21s also. He was playing for Liverpool also. So yeah, it does make a lot of sense, man.
I think Liverpool like to play with almost a pivoted 2 defensive midfielder when McAllister plays the role. So Szoboszlai knows how to get back and play as a second DM, and Gravenberch does. And Elliott doesn't. He's an attacker. For me, he's a number 10. But I wouldn't be upset if they played him because he's good enough to do it.
Yeah.
Front three. Kev, I'm assuming you're just going Diaz, Salah, Nunes.
Yeah, you've got to use the pace of the players in there, the chaoticness of Nunes and the passing range of Salah as well, especially going up against it'll be Robinson on the left hand side. Caused them problems. There's a reason why they've got a negative 50 for goal difference. They've only scored 27 goals, conceded 77. Let's go with all out attack and just cause ultimate chaos. Got to realise as well, United are playing Chelsea tomorrow, so that's not going to be an easy game for them either.
It's
and
Chelsea.
then they've got to play us.
It's not Chelsea, as you know.
But at the same time, we're getting too emphasised on what they're doing. Let's just worry about ourselves. And worry. All we've got to do is worry about ourselves and win the game. If we win our 9 games that are left, we win the league. That's how simple it is. Let's keep it simple, not overcomplicate, and start resting players, because that's when injury starts, and that's when we start getting into 50-50s. I'm not going to go in for that. No, just play your normal game, and and tomorrow's going to be a physical game, but we can stop that physicality by starting with the energy that was missing in the first half against Brighton, and play well and take our chances, which we never did in the first half against Brighton either. So if we do that, a lot of our game time can be managed a lot better than what I would say United are, who have got issues in defence. I've got an aging midfield and don't necessarily know how their forward line are going to turn up tomorrow against Chelsea. So, albeit it's a big game at Old Toilet on Sunday, at the same time, we're both playing on the same day. We both have the same amount of time, and let's be honest, we've had a 3-game week, 3 weeks off anyway, so people have had a lot of opportunity. The difference this season than what we had in previous is that we've got squad players that have had a lot of game time this year, and that is emphasised and the reason why we're in where we are, because the squad gets you up to these moments, and picking certain players out at certain times will help us Jordan this running. But you go 90-95% of the time with the best players that are available, and just let's use the pace, let's use the chaoticness, and let's use what we know is that shows the best part of ourselves in our forward three. So Nunes, Salah, and Diaz for me up front. But I'll be taking Diaz off for Gakpo around about the 60th minute.
Stu, would you give Gakpo a start, or has Kev sold you on the idea?
I think obviously Nunes and Salah write themselves into that those two other attacking slots. But for me, I want Gakpo in to start this one, and it's not so much the fact that I think Diaz should be dropped or anything like that. And I agree with what Kev says, like sort of pace wise, him up against Robinson, he'd crease him, he'd absolutely ruin him. But Gakpo, when he first came into the club, done really, really well, hit a good spell of form. Over the last few times when he's come on as a sub, though, I haven't seen enough from him. And I think he needs to have a start to just, I don't know, either build up his confidence or show what he's about again. Because I think a few of the supporters have forgotten already a few of the goals that he scored last season and also earlier on this season. But I think it was at the last game against Brighton when he came on as a sub around about the 80th minute, I think it was. And yeah, we're 2-1 up at that point. And Brighton had a break on us, I think around about the 86th, 87th minute, something like that. Gakpo's only just come on and he's only jogging back. And to me, that showed a slight lack of interest. And I want to see a bit more from him. So I would start him and say, right, this is your kick up the backside. Show us what you can do. Because overall, I think a lot of Liverpool fans remain to be convinced about him. And I think Sheffield United is the perfect fixture to do that in.
it's funny, isn't it? No one was really berating Gakpo until we lost a single game against United, and then it all went sour.
Yeah.
And the thing for me that if you were in our WhatsApp group, people were watching, people turn so quick on play. Like suddenly Robbo's gone because he got injured again. Oh, sell him, he's old, he's past it. He's 30 years old, for God's sake. Milner broke the assist record in the Champions League at 32. Look at that, and we look at that AC Milan team from 2005, where Liverpool won the Champions League. They're all over 30. Yapstam's 33, Cafu's 36, Maldini's 39, and they were the most. I think Shevchenko was 33, Kaká was 32. Like prime of life. All it means is when there's no resale value in Robbo. So that's fine. We bought him for 8 mil. I don't care. Don't care about resale value. That's something FSG have put in all Liverpool fans' heads, thinking about resale value and sell-on value. Yeah. Actually, we're Liverpool. We should be able to keep players if we want to keep players. There's no good left back out there. Fine. We'll keep the one that we've got and we'll make a loss.
Yeah.
New crash your front three?
Well, I think should be Diaz, Nunez, and Salah, and I am sure that all three of them have reasons to absolutely set the game alight, because Salah, for the goal he got, I think he would be slightly disappointed with the number of misses in the last match, although he has come back from injury. But we know the caliber of player he is, what he demands of himself, what he has done all over the years. So it was slightly surprising to see him doing a Nunez from his first season in the last match, missing so many chances. And Darwin Núñez, of course, for all the chaos we talk about him, in the last match, somehow he wasn't that involved, which was quite uncharacteristic of him. So I'm sure he would be looking to get on the score sheet too. And Luis Diaz, I mean, people have been skeptical about his form this season, but I think he is, of course, definitely enjoying the best spell in terms of scoring that he has had since joining the club. He, mind you, has had his fair share of issues with his family, of course, unfortunately, and also with the injury that he had last season. But I think he's also someone who kind of needs to prove that point before the end of the season. He's on 12 goals already. Should have been 13 if that Tottenham goal would have counted. But of course, he would be looking to get at least 17 or 18 by the end of the season if he can get on a good run of games and absolutely prove the point to the supporters. So I think that is the reason I would expect all three of them to start. And uh, as Kev I think pointed out, that Gakpo should be coming in around 60 minutes, because of course, it would be very important to see him get a goal or two, considering he hasn't looked at his best, and that United game kind of epitomizes uh, his form this season. Not this season, but at least up till the what has happened recently. So I think a few goals for Gakpo, a goal or two for him, and of course with the front three uh, absolutely getting into gear would do a long way, especially with us going in the business end of the season in the Europa League on the line.
Yeah, I think about players like Gakpo and think about players like Elliott, and I think some players can come off the bench and make an impact. I think some players can't. Like some players struggle to, like Gravenberch for me at this moment at his young age, I think he struggles to come off the bench when it's heated and make an impact. I think he's better when he starts and he can build his way into the game and get the feel of it and get the pace of it. I think some players struggle to come in and run at 100 miles an hour, whereas you look at someone like Elliott, he thrives at coming in and changing the pace of the game. I would agree with Kev, New Crash. I would go with Salah, Nunez, and Diaz for one simple reason. They need to play more together as a three to know where everyone's going to run. It needs to become more automatic, because you're going to get time against Sheffield United, more time than you're going to get against United. And I think if they can get more comfortable, the more they play with each other, the more automatic it becomes, because they've not had a chance really to play as a three for a long time. I think it will have a massive impact. And I want to see things like where Diaz had the ball
and Nunes and Tariq Lamptey, who I couldn't believe was like both of those two at full pace trying to get the space. I want to see more of that because Lamptey is probably one of the fastest players in the Premier League. Nunes is one of the fastest players in the Premier League. See that against United, it's going to look like someone's stuck in the mud while Nunes just fires through. And I want to see it. I want to see it because Salah's passing, Diaz dribbling, and Nunes, if we can get him finishing, is just going to be unreal. Now, we're going to finish with score predictions. So, in the chat, let us know what you think the score prediction is going to be for the match. Kev, I'm going to start with you. Score prediction for the match?
2-0.
2? Oh, he's going conservative. He's going conservative. Stu, you're not going conservative, are you? You're not going for a 2. They're on a minus 50 goal difference. We're at home. No, Kev, you've had your say.
No. No, I'm going to go 5-1.
Ah, same as Paul Lindo.
Oh, there you go.
Jen's gone with 8-0. I'm assuming she's gone with Salah, Nunes, and Diaz hat tricks. Although that'd be 9.
I'd
Be great if you could count, wouldn't it, James?
I corrected
Well,
myself before everyone else did.
1-0. City.
Oh,
well, I'd go with a 4-0, honestly. At least I'd expect 4 goals from Liverpool. Considering the form Sheffield have shown this season, I think it should at least be 4-0. After that, what happens should be absolute bonus for us.
I would be disappointed if they didn't get at least 3.
Yeah.
To be honest, I really would.
Do you know what, though? The reason why I say 2 is because the last few times we played against Sheffield United, we've struggled against this kind of side, and we find it difficult with the physicality of the way Wilder plays and the boredness of the time wasting and stuff like that. If we get our shooting boots on, then I totally agree with you, Stu. But I'm just going for the negativity of Chris Wilder, the frustration of the crowd, and the fact that it may take a few opportunities for us to score. So, hence the 2-0. How about yourself, James?
every team we should thump, we never do.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah.
We make it hard and we end up winning like 1-0 in the 90th minute. But I think, how often do we go into a game thinking we need to fill our boots so that we've got that extra away goals type point? And I think this is one of those situations. This is our best situation in the running. We're at home. It's an evening game at Anfield. This is our best opportunity to really go for it. So I think we'll know in the first 10 minutes for me. If we score in the first 10 minutes, it could be anything. I think if we're only 1-0 up by half time, I think it'll be 2, maybe 3-1 or something like that, because they might catch us on the break. And Bremerton Diaz I really like him as a player. I don't think he's Liverpool qualified. I really like him as a player. I think he just got a knack of scoring goals. So I will say 3-1 on the hope that actually we should get 6. Really, we should get 6. But it all depends how we do the first half. And we've been terrible in the first half this season.
Yeah.
In fact, we've let 7 teams score first.
Because with that board, you see, James.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well make it interesting for ourselves, eh? No point in just winning the league. We might as well win the league by going behind for the most times in Premier League history. So yeah, there you've got it. Kev's gone 2-0. Stu's gone 4-1.
5-1. 5-1.
Same as Lindo. And Ukrash, you've gone 4-0.
Yeah.
And I've got 3-1. But we're all predicting a Liverpool victory. And unfortunately, as we close the stream, Arsenal are 2-0 up at half-time. Man City are 1-0 up against Villa. So it looks like Liverpool need to do this just to keep status quo and keep ourselves top of the league. But as long as we win all our games, as Kev said, then it's all in our hands.
It is.
Thank you very much to Kev, Stu, Lucas. This has been LFC Transfer Room. This has been a preview for Liverpool vs Sheffield United. Make sure you tune in tomorrow after the game where we'll do our post-match reaction stream. And if you are new here, please like and subscribe to the channel. Take care and speak to you all soon.